Well, we go from the representative from Montana to a big story coming out of Montana. The Montana State Library Commission voted this week to withdraw from the American Library Association. This is the first time that any state has ever withdrawn from this institution, which is nearly 150 years old now. So, why? Why take such a drastic step? Well, here's what the commission said about what they did. Quote, our oath of office and resulting duty to the Constitution forbids association with an organization led by a Marxist. What a huge statement. And friends, there is a lot to unpack there. Well, joining me now to discuss this and more is Meg Kilgannon, Senior Fellow for Educational Studies here at FRC. Meg, welcome back to Washington Watch. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me. It's great to see you, Jody.
Well, likewise, Meg. All right, well, let's start unpacking this. What a powerful statement they made. What's going on? Explain what's happening here.
Yeah, I mean, isn't Montana setting an example for the rest of us, right? With Matt Rosendale and this story. So Montana, like you said, they have the governor there is taking his role of appointing people to this board very seriously. They have a new person on the board, and he has made a case that earned only one no vote. They all agree that they should leave the American Library Association, and that the American Library Association has been on a leftward trajectory for quite some time. But there was a time in the United States when everyone agreed on certain values, but we maybe differed on how to achieve those goals. Today, we are living in a time where we do not agree on the goals. And so Montana is making a clear statement that they do not agree with the goals of an organization that's going to be led by a Marxist. And so they're pulling their money and their brain power out of that organization. And I think it's great that they did.
I do too, Meg. I think this is a tremendous thing, and I hope it actually is the beginning of a movement across the country. When they made their statement that their duty to the Constitution, that they can't support an organization being led by a Marxist, the American Library Association appointed Emily Drabinski as president, and in an interview, she stated that she was a Marxist lesbian, and that worldview shapes a lot of the way she thinks and the way she wants to make a difference in the world. So she is outspoken in her position. Why do you think? I mean, you said it that this is they have been on a left-leaning trajectory for a long, long time, and now they seem to have just fallen off the wagon. Why have libraries become such a fulcrum for these type of issues?
Well, it's part of the march through the institutions, right? And the agenda of Marxists in particular to, since they are not going to be able to have a Marxist revolution of the workers in the United States because people like to have jobs and spend money on their families and have a wonderful standard of living. And the United States, for all of our problems, we have the highest standard of living in the world for the most people. They know they're not going to be able to get us economically, so they have to work culturally. And so for the last, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years, they've been doing that since the Russian Revolution in a way. And so they are really about destabilizing society. And you can see this in all the reading materials that they recommend these days are attacking the nuclear family, attacking traditional values, insisting that only the newest and the latest is that what children should read, rejecting the classics, rejecting Western civilization. I'm really, really glad that Montana did this. And I hope that, like the wave that started with the National School Board Association, Montana is starting a wave of of library boards across the country who are also going to leave the American Library Association.
Well, absolutely. And that's one of the reasons I wanted us to discuss this. This is one of those stories that is extremely important, but hidden, like on page 20 or whatever, so to speak, of the news media. And, this is a critical thing. And what's also very encouraging to me is not only did the Montana State Library Commission withdraw from the American Library Association, but the Montana School Boards Association has withdrawn from the National School Boards Association. Yeah, I'm just like, wow, these people get it and they're taking action. Do you really think we have the potential of watching this become a movement across the country?
I do think so because parents more and more are seeing there are a lot of parents who are engaged right now, but even the more moderate parents, the more peace loving among us who, I'm the first one in the fight usually. It's just how I am. But there are, my friends and neighbors are not as exercised about these kinds of things as I am. But even they are starting to admit that, maybe Meg did have a point. Maybe those people are onto something because this is really going too far. And when you see things like this phenomenon of chest feeding and just things that are so offensive to average people, the Bud Light controversy and the fact that that brand is completely destroyed, people get it. People are awake, and the thing about this library association is that most people are in the library with their kids. Their kids want to read a lot of
Right.
books. They're expensive to buy, so you check them out of the library. And when you see this on offer at the library, it really causes you to take an assessment of what's happening in your community and get involved. So I hope
It
that it
really
will
does.
spur a nationwide movement.
Well, I'm right there with you on that. Listen, we've only got about 30, 45 seconds here. Switching topics real quickly. I saw a headline I wanted to throw your way and get your quick input about a middle and high school students in Seattle that are now going to be receiving so-called gender affirming care on their school campus. Real quickly, tell us about that.
Well, the age of medical consent in Washington state is 13 years old. So when you take your child to the doctor in Washington state and they're 13 years or older, the child is going to be the one that's making the decision. And so this means that when you're going to deliver services in a school setting, that will be completely separated from parents. At least if you're taking your child to the pediatrician, you're in the room and you can be a part of the conversation, right?
Wow.
But when you're at school, you're separated from your kids. So this is very dangerous. If you see this happening in your community, you really need to say, no, we're not doing that here.
Got to run. Meg Kilgannon, thank you so much. Great job. Always great to see you.